Hey Bookaholics, and welcome back to another reading vlog. Today's vlog, we're going to be kicking off my Red Rising vlog. Red Rising is a sci-fi epic series in which we are following Darrow, who is a Red. Reds are those that mine on Mars, and they are, against their knowledge, being kept in servitude because they believe that they are mining for this resource called helium-3 that will help terraform the planets. And it turns out that the planets are already terraformed, and therefore they are just being kept in servitude through their belief system. We are following Darrow, who is spurred into action when his wife gets herself killed, and then he must fight this system from the inside, so he decides to infiltrate the golds. This is a series that I have been hesitant to pick up because of the fridging that I just mentioned in the synopsis. So fridging is obviously not something that I particularly enjoy reading. It's a trope that is not great, not gonna lie. So I was unsure about this series, but I've heard such praise for it that I thought I would give it a go. In this vlog, I'm going to be reading the first 3 books, so the original trilogy of this series. I'm not going to be reading any of the newer books. I will do a separate vlog for those if I like these once the last one is out. I decided that I was going to start this book and get to the point where the fridging happens before I started the vlog. I know that this is such a well-loved series. I didn't want to yuck someone's yum. I just didn't want to do a whole rant video or ranty vlog working my way through this series. So if I didn't enjoy that, if I genuinely found that I thought the way the fridging was handled was going to be then a reflection on how the rest of the series is going to be, especially in regards to the way it treats women, then I just wouldn't have vlogged this week, and I found a different video to put here. So I'm actually quite happy that I am at the point where at least I am okay doing this video. Now, it is fridging, and I don't know how to tell people that just because she makes a martyr of herself to spur him on, it's still fridging. Like, fridging is fridging. If a woman has to die to spur a man into action, regardless of whether it's her choice or not, it's still fridging. It's still the author's choice to kill off a woman to propel a man, to set him on his path. So it's still fridging. Though I have issues with it. One, I have issues with Io as a character because I think the way that we have this really worldly 16-year-old girl was questionable anyway. I think that Darrow, being the kind of 16-year-old that you would expect in this environment where he is having to be a man in certain regards, he has to mature, he has to do certain things, like work, he has to understand that he needs to provide for his wife, he understands that there is, that they are dependent on one another, all of these things, while still having the impetuousness of youth. And I think that that is handled really well. I think for me, the thing is that I found that Io was a little bit a man rising a woman. It was she is this superior being, and it made her not feel like a real person. There's so much about her that was like, she is sunshine, almost, even in the darkest of days, but at the same time she is angry at the system. And while we all want to be someone like Io, we want to be someone who gives positivity to the people who need it and hatred towards those that deserve it, no one is that well-rounded. She didn't feel like a real person. So I have got issues so far, but not enough so that I think that the entire series is going to be littered with things I dislike. I think that Darrow is going to make for a very interesting protagonist, and I am excited to continue in that regard. And I am looking forward to seeing his response to this. Now, one of my favorite things in here that was depicted to do with his relationship is I love me reading a man who is besotted with his wife. I loved that. Granted, I did feel a little bit like it was used for the purpose of the fridging, but the way that we have this guy just being absolutely besotted with his wife, the little things that he notices of her, the things that he cares about of her were gorgeous, and I loved that. So there is a solid start there in that sense, and therefore I think that I'm going to find Darrow a really interesting character. I already am fully aware that I think I'm going to really enjoy this world. The little bits of world building we've already had have been done really well. And it's in first person, so it is Darrow explaining stuff to you, which is great because then we're going to learn stuff alongside Darrow. So it's not just going, like, obviously he's done the exposition of Mars and what their environment is like because that's where he is from. But I feel like henceforth, whenever we leave the comfort zone of what he has known for the entire 16 years of his life, we're going to learn alongside him, which is also going to be fascinating. So there's a lot that I am looking forward to. So I feel like I'm over the worst of it, and I'm over the part that I was dreading, but I do think that it's on the up and up from here. So while I do have genuine issues with the start of this book, I think that I am past the worst of it, and therefore I'm excited to continue. So we'll see. I'll check back in when I read the next part. I don't think this book is going to take me very long because it's got a really compulsively reading writing style. It's got a really digestible writing style. I do actually really like first person narratives as well. I find it really immersive. So I think that it's going to make me become more intimately acquainted with Darrow, which, as far as I'm aware, he does get more and more morally ambiguous as the series goes on. So I'm very excited for that. I'm excited to see the repercussions of his actions in general because he is such a bull in a china shop that I think it's going to be fun. So I'm excited for what's to come now that I have overcome what I've overcome. Hey vlog, it is still Monday, but I needed to come check in because I've just finished part 2, so I'm now on gold. What was this? What was the end of that part? Why am I suddenly so invested? What was that? What? So I don't even know where I left you at the end of part 1. So stuff has been happening. We were introduced to a new group of characters at the beginning of part 2. Oh my god, so much has happened in part 2. We're introduced to a new group of characters at the beginning of part 2, and they're basically going to help Darrow, but there's so much conversation around being sure that he is in this for justice, not revenge. The notion being that we need to bring down this system. It's not about getting revenge on the person that killed your wife. It's about bringing down a society that allowed someone to kill your wife. And I really like the way that we're directing Darrow's anger actually throughout this part, because Darrow, I used to suffer from anger management issues, so I really do understand a lot of the descriptions around anger that Darrow is feeling in this book, because it's being overcome by it. And people always seem to think that having anger management issues means literally that. It means that you can't control your feelings. But it's in your brain, it doesn't work like that. In your brain, it's that your feelings are justified, but your actions are responding too quickly, too immediately to those feelings. It's like a quick response. You don't have the ability to slow down the response. If you think of like the response time, like in a video game, sometimes you can press the slow-mo button and you can go shoot a load of different enemies at once. That is how most people deal with their anger. They can slow down the feeling and process it and be like, okay, here are how you respond. Anger management issues, you don't have that mechanism. So you just go fire wildly. And that's how it works. And that's how it's working for Darrow. He just gets overcome by it, and he's not
able to reason his way through it, and no one is there to help guide him through that. I really appreciate the depiction, because it does feel very authentic. It does feel very relatable to me. So that was fantastic. As I said, we've got this new cast of characters that are going to help Darrow understand how this world actually works. And we're seeing the history of this world. We're seeing how terraforming happened and what the political system is really like versus what Darrow has been believing all this time and all of that. So we're now at the point where we're going to enter past what is on the back of the book. And that's when we have Darrow infiltrating the Golds, which includes entering into the Institute, which is basically the Golds have decided that this generation of descendants are lazy. They've had it all handed to them. It's really boomer mentality. It's fantastic. Accidentally villainizing boomers, but it's like this generation have had it all handed to them. They're all pampered. They don't know, they won't be able to rule. They won't be strong enough because they've never had to fight for it. So they recall all of the kids that are of a certain age and put them in like a Hunger Games thing, basically, which is just, we have 600 are going to go through in the end. So we have, like, you need, the first round is to half the amount of people that get through. And we have Darrow getting to know some of the characters, getting to understand some of the characters. And then where that part ended, I didn't see it coming. I'm not gonna lie. Not that I think that Darrow is some kind of sweetheart that is like definitely not going to get his hands dirty. That's not who he is. That's not the point of the story. But damn, I didn't see it coming. I'm not gonna lie. Wow, holy crap. And then, yeah, so now I'm going to enter into Gold. I am very curious to see how that's going to go, because I feel like what he did, there's someone else who is going to have repercussions towards him, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm really loving this part a lot. And then we also have some new characters within the Golds that I have heard people talk about that I am looking forward to seeing develop. I know, so this part is where we're first introduced to Severo, which I believe is a lot of people's favorite character. Definitely not what I was expecting. I was definitely not expecting Severo to be the character that he is, and I am here for it. I am a lot more excited about Severo now I know who he is. I was expecting him to be some kind of like golden boy, and he's not. He's a runt essentially, and that's really cool. So I'm really excited to get to know him a bit more. But we've got loads of other characters. I'm very excited to see where they fall by the end of it, which ones are going to be friends and which ones are going to be foes by the end of the entire trilogy. I'm curious. So I'm excited to continue on. I'm going to go read some more later, but like I said, I'm going to go work out now, and then I imagine it will be time for me to interact with my children. Got some homework to do and stuff. So yeah, I probably won't check in again until tomorrow now. Okay, vlog, it is Tuesday, so I thought I would check in. And I have read another really decent chunk of Red Rising. I have now read part 3, Gold, which means that I am now at part 4, Reaper, which is the last part. And, oh God, so much happened in this one as well. So we had so many revelations happening in here in regards to the way the world is working. While still also kind of tackling Darrow's morality, how far Darrow is willing to go, how willing he is also to integrate into the Golds for this purpose, and then how that's going to play out. The fact that he's actually befriending people who are Golds, I think, is a really fascinating take as well. So all in all, I think it's a really well executed part, because it's kind of like the Hunger Games, but if Katniss were from District 1,
Talking about how the whole idea of this is to like naturally cull, it's a natural selection, but there are definitely those that still have privileges and things. The idea around justice and vengeance is really fascinating as well. The idea around different rage the different boys present, so you have Titus, who has this cold and calculating rage, like he is feral. And then you have Cassius, who has this unchecked, privileged level of anger where he can just kind of get away with, he's so used to getting away with doing what he wants and things always going well for him and things have never gone badly for him to have ever learned from before. And then you have Darrow, who is somewhere in between. He has this burning desire for vengeance that overcomes him, but at the same time, he is smart, so he can be calculating and he can be cautious when necessary. So I really liked all of the conversations around that and the conversations around boys' rage, and that no kind of rage is actually good. None of these guys actually come out on top. None of them are good people. None of them are people that you should admire to be, and that level of anger, the way that they're dealing with it, is not healthy in any of these aspects, and I think that was handled really, really well. I really liked conversations around the way that the school is training them to oppress people. Like, I thought that was a really interesting dichotomy of, you know, you're training kids to oppress other kids by teaching them to oppress within the school setting, which was fascinating. So many things that were going on in here that I really appreciated. One thing that I actually liked is that we had, throughout the book, one thing that has been really annoying me is that we have this like fake swearing, like we have bloody damn and gory damn, and it's really annoying. Like the words are really annoying me, but it actually paid off at one point, because someone said one of the words and that meant something, which I thought was fascinating. And then we also have some revelations happen, like I said, and that included something finally coming to light that has been building up in terms of tension for a while, and the conversation that came from that as well. So yeah, all in all, it was a really good section. I'm really excited to conclude. So yeah, we did have the evoke my wife's name section here of just, you know, like thinking of EO again. But I think it's good that he's not just completely vanished her from his brain. So I appreciated it, and it wasn't too heavy-handed. So for the most part, actually, I am actually having a really good time, and I'm really appreciating the conversations that are being had in the book. We'll see how I fare eventually with the ending, but this is looking like it is actually going to be a top tier book. So it's still Tuesday, it is 1:30, and I have finished Red Rising. What an ending! So action-packed, so exciting. The actual ending didn't surprise me that much. But there were a couple of, and there was one reveal that I'd guessed and one reveal that I hadn't, of the two, like big ancestral reveals, I suppose we'll go with. I love Severo as a character. I found him just so, I understand why everyone loves him. He's amazing. Mustang, who came in towards the end, I think, of the last part, if not the beginning of this one, in full swing. Love her as well. She's a fascinating character. I love that we've got the like nimbly, almost assassin, like tiny little assassin that is Severo versus the like big ballsy bright Mustang. I really like the whole relationship that we've got going on here. Some of the other ones as well, Rogue, and we've got Pax, like just so many awesome characters throughout this. I had such a fantastic time. Then yeah, the ending, I saw it coming. I kind of hoped that Darrow would do differently, but at the same time, like, otherwise it'd be almost no story. So we'll see how that plans out, pays off in book 2. I'm very excited. And yeah, um I really liked, is it Fitchner, I think is how it's pronounced. I really liked the way his character worked in here as well. And yeah, just so many characters. This is so much about characters for me. Like, the writing style is just really easy to get through, really digestible. Like, the writing style is so digestible. It could be YA, like the way that it is so fast paced, the way that it gets straight to the point, the way that it doesn't waste your time in a way. Like, it really keeps your attention going through every single page, every single paragraph, and I really appreciated that. Obviously it's not YA because it's too brutal for YA, especially because there are so many discussions around rape in here, which is interesting because, like, obviously the whole thing about this is about oppression, governments, which also includes the likes of war. And therefore I like that it didn't untangle rape from war and actually bothered to have those conversations. I don't know if that was handled very tactfully, but nothing about this book is tactful. It's very like, here's some thoughts on Marxism, on meritocracy. Here are some thoughts on all of the bullshit. And I like that, and I appreciated that. So I am excited to continue on. I'm going to pick up book 2 any minute now. So yeah, 4 stars, because it does have that bit at the start, the thing that I have problems with. And as I said, I was getting really annoyed with the swearing as well. Again, the fact that it paid off was great, but it didn't make it any less annoying until that point. I've also been doing a bit of knitting. I am working with my new wool in one of my favorite colors, but it's very pretty. So yeah, I am working on my knitting, working on my reading. I had a migraine last night, so I'm just trying to have like a chill day today, and we'll see if I can get back into the swing of things properly tomorrow. So yeah, I will probably not, I don't know if I'll be able to update you again today. It depends, I guess, on how much I read of Golden Sun. But until that point, I will see you when I see you. Hey vlog, it's Wednesday. So I thought I'd check in. I haven't done any reading yet today, but I did do quite a bit yesterday, and I'd done enough updates yesterday and it was like late. So I decided I would wait until this morning. So I have read how many pages? 100 pages exactly of Golden Sun. I have gotten to part 2, which is Break. I was migraining yesterday, which was great because it meant that I couldn't really look at screens. It was bad because it was migraine. And then today I started my menses, which just means that I feel rough. My menses tend to make me feel really poorly. I've tried loads of different avenues to kind of try and resolve this. I've been trying to resolve this since I was 12, but yeah, it's one of those things. So I feel not great. I put some makeup on today so I could film, and it's the only thing now that is like making me not look, I think, like death. So it's one of those things. However, Golden Sun, this one's more space opera-y from the get-go. Like, we've got like ships and who commands them and things. Our characters are older. I didn't expect the time jump. I expected it to be kind of more immediate follow-up than we got. I don't know if I like that or not. I guess I'll see. I don't know. I don't know at the moment with this one, because so far, so obviously, like, we see the characters, and the characters haven't really changed much. So it's like, well, what was the point in the time jump? Like, it's not like they're suddenly loads more mature. So I'm not sure why we needed such a big time jump, because he's 20 now. He was 16 in book 1. For whatever reason, that's a thing. And then we also have, so like in the last chapter of this, we very much have him once again kind of like invoking Eo's name. We have that, you know, I need to make a world that Eo would have wanted to bring a child into. And it's like, That's kind of a weird thing to say about your dead 16-year-old wife. Like, it just makes me a bit uncomfortable. But also, like, I understand what you're trying to say, but it's like, I don't know, the phrasing was a bit weird. But that might just be my mood because now I'm in such a fuck off mood. But there are still like things that I'm really excited for. I'm really excited to see these characters again and like see where they're all at now, you know? Like, it's been a lot of fun. This book obviously I'm going to be able to talk about less because I am trying to keep this vlog spoiler free. But just seeing where the characters are at and, you know, who's where and what they're up to, I think is going to be great. And I'm excited to see the interactions. I especially think that I like the even tighter moral compromise that Darrow finds himself in. I think that is going to be a lot of fun for me to see kind of his moral decline, him constantly feel the split, because one of the things that gets you, I think, is realizing that the upper class are people and they're human beings, and that they're not just this organization, this big scary organization you take down. They're people, but they are people who are, be it intentionally or not, upholding a system whose entire purpose is to exploit and harm those below. So I'm very excited to see Darrow's kind of, I suppose, moral decline and the choices that he is going to be forced to make, I imagine, throughout this one and especially the third one. So I'm excited, but at the moment not feeling crazy strongly about this first bit, because it was just kind of letting us know, almost in a way, letting us know what's been going on while we've been gone, even though I literally haven't been gone. I picked this up right after finishing Red Rising, but you know, for those of you who didn't, it's a little bit of a, this is what has been happening over the last 4 years. And it felt really weird, I think, to jump into this and it be like, so you've been gone a while. It's like, no, I haven't. It's like, you've been gone a while. It's like, okay, I've been gone a while. So maybe that's also what's jarring me, is that, you know, it's expected that you'd leave time in between books and I didn't. But I'm excited to continue. So I am going to now edit some videos because I did film some videos earlier. So I'm going to go edit some videos and I'm going to go have some wild mushroom soup. I made it last week in my slow cooker and then I made like several portions and now I have wild mushroom soup waiting for me. I'm very excited. It's got mascarpone in it. You can't go wrong with mascarpone. And yeah, I will see you later, I guess. I imagine I'm going to do some more reading today. I haven't actually started doing any reading yet today. So hopefully I will check in later with more info and more feelings and thoughts. Hey vlog, it's actually Thursday. I didn't update you in the end yesterday, but between last night and this morning, I did manage to read a part 2, which means that now I am on Conquer. And a lot happened in part 2. There were definitely some high tension moments. It's really interesting seeing the way that Darrow is approaching this whole taking the golds down from the inside, especially because, as I said, like the fact that he's now got like a face to the names, they feel like real people and there are much more immediate consequences. Obviously there are gold children in the mix, there are innocents in some way, shape or form that are still in the mix. And then we also have the appearance of the Sovereign. We have the return of a character that is potentially an enemy in this one, and we have the shifting allegiances and playing politics that I am finding really fascinating. So there is all that going on and I'm really excited to see what this means. We do have some of the old characters come back towards the end of part 2 as well, which I did find really exciting. The fact that I am feeling like a bond with some of these characters, even though everyone is so incredibly morally grey, is very exciting. So I'm curious to see what the next couple of parts have in store. I'm hoping to read part 3 throughout this afternoon and this evening. I didn't get as much read this morning as I wanted to. I did want to kind of also get to part 3. My kid is sick, so she's home with me, which has meant less reading but more time with my baby, so no complaints here. But yeah, that does mean that I am now going to go on to part 3 and I'll hopefully update you either tonight or tomorrow morning with part 3. Hey vlog, so I have now finished part 3 of Golden Sun. So I am now on page 343, and this was weird because this was really messy part, but like in a good way. Like there's a lot going on, and almost I feel like we've not even really started with where this is going to go, the reveals that are going to happen, the betrayals that are going to happen, which is weird because it's like I have all these characters that like I really like, and at the same time you can feel a betrayal coming on. Now I have a heavy suspicion about who I think is going to betray them, but we'll see. I just feel like there was like a very obvious glaring warning in there. But yeah, like I really like that we have this war narrative that is genuinely really messy, because that very rarely happens. You know, it's normally that you have things, at least certain things tie up nicely, but even the things that go well are still really messy and really chaotic, and part of it is due to luck and conveniences and stuff. So, but like not in a way that it's like, oh, of course that happened just because the plot needed it to. It's more like, oh my god, it's a miracle that worked out, which is really well executed. So I'm very excited to finish off the book, which I should be doing tonight. So I should be able to get back to you either tonight or tomorrow morning with my final thoughts on this one. So quick update, but exciting nonetheless. I did it. I finished Golden Sun. Listen. There were 2 reveals in here. So one was who's the betrayer. Got that kind of right, sort of, in a way. One of the characters hadn't actually really crossed my mind, but the other one, I suppose that's deliberate, but the other one, called it. Knew it. There we go. Next, who this other mysterious figure is, nailed it. Knew it from the get-go. From, I think, the end of the last book, not gonna lie, thought we'd get the reveal sooner. Why they are the way they are, also sort of called it, kind of, in my head. Not quite, but kind of. Lots of reveals happening, and then that ending, I am not okay with that ending. I am not okay with where that ended. I need that to be undone. It's not going to be, but I need it to be. It's not okay. Two of them written. 2 people are dead, and I am not okay with it. I'm really not. So there's that. I'm not having a good time with that. I mean, I am, but I'm not. And I'm very anxious to get into the last book. So I need to go to bed so that I can read the next book. Because I am not okay. Anyway, moving on. So we have, I'm going to give this a 4.5. Bear with me, but this Shakespearean level feud that we have going on between these 2 characters just feels a little bit more than ridiculous when we're talking about this kind of scope. I appreciate that it's there for the drama and you need kind of someone to hate and blah blah blah. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's just annoying, and then I feel like this character is going to repeatedly become annoying. So unless this character suddenly changes their tune and actually becomes best buddies with Darrow, they're just going to annoy me. I'm not going to hate them. They're just going to be like a thorn in my side, and I find it annoying. So yeah, that's something that I find exhausting. But other than that, I had a really good time with this. So 4.5 stars. Let's see what Morningstar does. Let's see if Morningstar brings it home. So I'm going to go jump into that probably in the morning now, because I need to go to sleep. Improvement on the first book. And I did like the first book. So I'm with everyone that the series does just get better as it goes on. So here's hoping that the masterpiece is the last one. Hey, vlog, it's Friday. It's been a rough start to the morning. I didn't sleep very well. I've been up since quite early, and I have been reading. That's why I'm here. I tabbed up my next read. I made myself a cramp tea. I have the Puka Womankind tea. I have a hot water bottle. It's one of those days. I'm gonna go jump in the shower in a minute. I just thought I would come check in first, because I am now on page 92, so I've read part 1 of Morningstar. The way this is going, there's a character that I am fairly certain is going to flip. I'm not going to tell you who or which way, but there's a character I'm fairly certain is going to flip. There have been returns of characters that, like, not only have we not seen in a while, but we also haven't had a huge amount of development on them as people, because it was from quite a while back and we didn't see that much of them. So I'm very excited to see how their parts play out in this narrative, in this last one, and everything coming together. With mentions of other characters, we have just quite a lot going on, really, already. So we are having to kind of pick up the pieces after everything that went down, and we are back in a position where we're hoping we can charge forwards. So I'm not going to tell you who's leading or what is happening or whose ideas are what or anything. I'm going to keep it very vague, but things are going to start happening again. Nothing has started happening yet, but things are going to start happening, I imagine, in the next part. The next part is called Rage. So suspect it's going to be a somewhat violent chapter, well, section. And it's quite a long one as well. I looked it up earlier. Yeah, so I would be starting it on page 95, and it goes all the way to page 267. So I'm going to go have a shower. I'm going to go do some stuff on my computer, and then I'm going to hopefully throughout the morning slowly chip away at that part, and I'll be able to check in the late morning, early afternoon with another update, because like 160 pages is going to obviously take me a little while. But thankfully the prose style in these is so digestible, so quick, that it doesn't actually take me very long to get through. So I'm excited to continue. Hey vlog, so it is early afternoon. So I thought I would check in throughout the morning and like lunchtime and stuff. I have been reading, and I have gotten to part 3. So I've read part 2, and I am now on page 267. The only other thing that I have actually managed to accomplish this morning is I have actually now put my entire owned TBR onto my Goodreads, so that then, you know, whenever there's a readathon and the prompt is like highest rated, lowest rated, and it's like, I'll take a stab in the dark. So yeah, I've done that. One thing before I get into the book, one thing while doing that always frustrates me is like whenever I'm like trying to select the correct edition and stuff, I'm looking at all the other editions, like, why is it half the time I have the least appealing
of all the covers, because normally I like the UK covers the most, and then every now and then there are ones where I'm just like, or even maybe like a Fairy Loot one where it's got a different colorway but they're colors that I love. So it's like normally a warm colors cover that isn't really my vibe, and then the alternate cover that Fairy Loot has is like blue or purple. It's not fair. Anyway, that's besides the point. I am now, as I said, on to part 3. I did sob, I did cry a bit in here, I'm not gonna lie. I just, for some reason, this is the first time that we did have a death, and for some reason the death there was done in a way that it actually showed the loss, showed what comes with someone dying, what that actually entails. And it was done, I don't know, in just a really sensitive way, and I had feelings about it, and I did cry a bit, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, we've had a lot of action happen. We've been reunited with some characters that we've been separated from after the end of book 2. We have been also trying to amass numbers, amass an army. We've also had different shifts in power. We've also had different conversations around leadership. I love the friendship between Darrow and Severo throughout this as well. Just the way that they are so honest with each other, and they're the ones that keep each other in check. I absolutely love that. So yeah, lots of things going on in here that I've been having a really good time with, and it's been there's lots of talk around rebuilding, about what happens after. And I'm really hoping, because we're definitely not going to have time in this series for that to happen, which is a shame, but I am really hoping that the new series actually centers what happens after, what actually entails rebuilding a society that has been completely leveled, and how do we build back up again. I really, really, really hope that that actually comes to light. So we shall see. We'll see what happens. I've got parts 3 and 4 still to go. I'm going to go sit and watch some booktube for a bit, and then hopefully I'll have time tonight to read part 3, which would leave me part 4 for the morning, which would finish this vlog a lot sooner than I thought I would, but we shall see how I fare. Hey vlog, it's Saturday morning. Thought I would check in. I have read part 3 of Morningstar, which means I am now on page 389. And what the fuck, Darrow? Like, that was the first thing that came into my mind when reading this part. So many times I was just like, what the fuck, Darrow? So many choices that are made, so many sacrifices in a way that are made in this, so many decisions he makes. And I really do appreciate it, because a lot of the time, obviously a lot of stories like this, a lot of dystopias like this, a lot of overthrow the government, tear it all down, done in this fashion, are usually within YA. So there is usually a lot of, there are consequences, but it's not really your fault. It's not really something you could have done differently. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. And then, you know, people trying to make the most moral decisions possible. Well, with this one, it's less about him making the most moral decisions possible and him making the most useful decisions possible, the ones that will help the end game. So there were a lot of choices that were made that I was like, okay, dude, what the hell? Especially for someone who is a lot of the time hesitant to do something because it could hurt someone he knows. And then he does makes these other decisions that could hurt a lot of people, but also he's doing it because he cares a lot about these other people, and he knows that this could hurt a relative few compared to the amount that it would save. And so many things happening in here that I just thought were absolutely astounding because of the choices that he was making. So I'm very excited to see how the series concludes. I'm on, as I said, 398, and I need to get to 518. So 120-ish pages left to go. So I'm going to go read that this afternoon. But yeah, intense stuff. I'm very curious to see how it ends.
So that is it. I am done with Morningstar. I have finished the Red Rising saga. I have opinions. First of all, there was a big epic showdown at the end that I think was handled really well. I found that really exciting. I really did love all of the conversations that were around impossibility of appealing to someone's morality when they are amoral. And therefore, if you are trying to combat someone who is amoral, you are going to have to make some really tough decisions. And I appreciated how that was handled. There were a lot of things in here that I think were just done in a way that at least it was trying to have a conversation. Now, I'm going to go into not specific spoilers, but something that might be considered a spoiler here. I'll leave the word spoiler at the bottom here until the spoiler goes away. So if you don't want to get spoiled, then just skip ahead. But 3, 2, 1. I personally don't think there were enough deaths in this book. I know it sounds really horrible because these are characters that I do really enjoy and really like, and were very interesting people and had nuance and layers and people that you've really gotten to know. But there weren't enough deaths for everything that's trying to be accomplished. When there were parts of this book that were talking about, oh, you know, like 10 million people are dead, and then it's just like, yeah, but we'll rebuild, because none of it feels that personal because there aren't enough deaths. I'm not saying there are no deaths, but there aren't enough, in my personal opinion. But spoiler free area now in 3, 2, 1. And I did enjoy this book. I did also find that the way this ended, the note on which it ended on, was interesting. However, with the way this one ended, there is something at the end here, for those of you who've read it, I'm sure you know, that happens a lot at the end of dystopias, and I appreciate why it's there, because it's kind of the notion of hope, I suppose, but it annoys me, it bothers me. I don't think it was necessary personally, but yeah, so lots of good, some things that I wish had been a bit more intense, a bit darker, maybe a bit deeper. But I really love the questions around morality. I really loved the character development that we see from book 1 all the way through to this one. And as I said, the conversations around society, morality, war, etc., I think were really good. So I've given this one another like 4.5. It's definitely not a 5-star read, but it's a really solid read. So 4.5 seems right for me. And I am excited to continue on in the new series. I have the first 2. I will wait until the last one is out and in paperback, and then I will binge these, hence why they are not on the main shelves. But yeah, we'll see how I fare with the rest of the series, because I know that one's a little bit more divisive. But as it stands, we have a 4-star with Red Rising, and then 4.5 with both Golden Sun and Morningstar. I think I probably liked Golden Sun the most personally. I feel like it's the one that held the most tension for me personally, but I do think that the latter 2 are definitely, well, they're riding on the back of Red Rising, but they definitely took it in a much more intense direction that I really did appreciate. So yeah, great series, had a great time with it. I will be creating a dedicated series review for this at some point, so do keep your eyes peeled for that. But yes, that is it. That's it for the vlog. I have finished. I am free, and I will hopefully be catching you in whatever comes next. The next vlog I will be doing is reading through my jar picks for January. But that is it. That is all for me for today. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I will hopefully catch you in another one soon. Bye.